Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Contro-Verse, Malden's fanciest, bestest, sexiest open mic. Yeah. Got a great crowd here tonight. Very excited for our feature, Damian Rucci, all the way up from the Garden State. Give it up for him. We'll have him on just a little bit, but first, of course, let's introduce you to the team. We are going to have Jeff Taylor as our first on the mic tonight. After that, we will have friend and regular of the show, Kittay, and then we'll have Chris up from the booth. But for right now, everybody give it up for Jeff Taylor.
Yeah!
Jeff Taylor? Who's that kid? Fuck that kid. Thanks for coming tonight to Contro-Verse Open Mic. It is April 22nd. 2 days ago was 420.
Woo.
Yeah! Can we get a round of applause for 420?
Yeah.
Yes! My favorite holiday. Celebrated that even though I was at work, because, you know, that's how I do it. But it is also National Poetry Month, and I have been completely shit at writing poems every day, even though I was going to try to do that, but didn't really work out that way. But you know, that's okay, because I don't really take that much stock in that kind of thing. So if you feel like you haven't met your goal, don't you feel all that bad about it, because I'm not meeting my goals either, so you're not alone. But what I did do a little bit of writing. Poem I worked on in March, I did finally finish. Though no new poems in April, but I got this one. Is called Do Dinosaurs Know Anything About Surviving? So I'll read you this poem. Does the muse know anything about money? Do fathers know anything about the Death Star? Do bike lanes know anything about traffic? Does the rat race know anything about commitment? What do smartphones know about the golden rule? What do YouTubers know about the golden eternity? Do ninjas know anything about organizing my thoughts? What do broken pencils know about ADHD? Does water know anything about hydration? Does time know anything about failure? Do sunsets know anything about nightlights? Do radios know anything about honest conversation? Do poets know anything about fire suppression? Do audio engineers know anything about the world being noisy enough? Do employers know anything about enlightenment? Does religion know anything about ghosts? Do elevators know anything about volcanoes? Do aliens know anything about airplanes? Do dinosaurs know anything about surviving? Does Bigfoot know anything about transparency? Do flowers know anything about climate change? Do activists know anything about earthquakes? Do televisions know anything about alarm clocks? Do wrenches know anything about getting likes? Do surgeons know anything about hacking? Do flat earthers know anything about real estate? Do washing machines know anything about sex? Does the Illuminati know anything about love? Does pop culture know anything about marriage? Does government know anything about ride or die? What do maps know about making connections? What does my reflection know about changing directions?
Yeah, dude!
Thank you. Next up on the open mic, I'd like to welcome up Kittay. Give her a big round of applause.
I let you in my temple, and you tried to burn it to the ground. Your words like silent daggers, your actions bitter and tainted with deception. I allowed you to enter my garden, And instead of helping me water or nurture it, you watched while I struggled to pluck every single weed out and trampled over my flowers while my back was turned. Thank you for showing me that I deserve more than you can ever possibly give me. Thank you for showing me that you don't actually want something real. Thank you for showing me your true intentions. Although I wish that you had been up front from the beginning, I can't turn back time. So I'll take this opportunity as a learning lesson. I'll divide a line to separate my love for you with self-love for myself on the other side of that line. Because I love myself more than to ever settle for someone who was never quite sure, who consistently tried to make me doubt myself, my choices, my life. You taught me I'm all I ever needed. Actually, every single romantic relationship I've had has shown me that. Like a broken record that just keeps repeating the same old tune. It's time that I stop getting involved with people who have superficial charm. Even the greatest of actors can't uphold a false narrative for too long. When the mask finally slips, all I can do is recognize it and accept it for what it is. When we turn our attention and focus back onto ourselves, that's when we experience a shift. I had a feeling in the beginning, a hunch I kept dismissing. I'm sorry to my intuition because I gaslit myself into thinking it was wrong, that I was just paranoid and crazy. It wasn't. It was trying to warn me. All along, I ignored each alarm, dismissed the notification from my memory, and turned it off. Yet, the alarm just kept on ringing. I was confused by your breadcrumbs of love bombing and what appeared like understanding and empathy, but in reality, you intentionally tried to cross me. You knew I was divinely protected and tried to fuck with me anyway. I see that you're getting your karma now. And honestly, I can't help but feel sorry, because everything I've predicted is happening right before my eyes. And I was lucky to be taken out of the storm and placed at a safe enough distance to observe and witness. Even though I don't wish harm to come to you, I know the universe is merely balancing the scales out. Since you came and disrupted my energy, time, and money, I'm getting justice and relief. And every single thing you tried to take from me is being taken away from you. The scales of balance must be restored. I know that I don't have to hurt anyone or get revenge, because rotten fruit fall all by themselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Kittay for that one. Next up, we have from the back, Christopher Hickey. Come on up.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Let's see what I got here. Technology is wonderful. It automatically scrolled up on me. All right. Let's see. We'll go with this one. It's short. Radio static. Percolating crackle. Amplitude frequency. Word soup, white noise, dial left or right, neither correct, more crackling, static fizz, a bushy business. A puffing storm cloud, potentially kinetic, ozone whiffs, waft, waves, windy wind, air conducts, a symphony of forms, ideas conveyed and received, broadcasted boldly brave, looking for certain sentient life, a dark star cosmos. Avoiding unavoidable gravity cones, spinning ceaselessly, expanding horizons. Eventually, no true exit, only entering the once transformed universally, so all can listen at the receiver, here to here.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. No, it's not your time to read. No, Damian Rucci, our feature, is about to come and take the stage. Traveled here from New Jersey to come down and throw some poems for you, create a great vibe and entertainment. So please welcome up, put your hands together, Damian Rucci, touring poet from New Jersey, author of 9 books. You can get his book, Last of the Hardcore, from Bone Machine Inc. Please have him up here.
What's up, everybody? Can you make some noise for Jeff Taylor and this whole thing going on here? This is awesome. I've never been to Walton, and I'm sorry for lowering your property values. But you guys ever been in this situation where people were talking shit about you? Telling tall tales, spreading rumors, and building myths? You can't even defend yourself because it's all true. And worse, they don't even know half the shit you really did, right? This is called And Even If I Did, So What? I guess you have me figured out. I never shot the sheriff, but I sure as hell broke the toilet. I prowled empty streets for baggies of white trash divine. Let me start. My bad. Let's start that over.
Hey, grab that mic.
That mic. This one.
That way you can run it.
Now we're in business. White trash divine. I breathed the Atlantic and I've cursed the sky. I played Robin Hood so we could eat, and I'm not sorry I'd do it again. I've chased country sunsets without ever once thinking to look back towards home. I went searching for myself and I got lost. I quit every job I've ever had. I've spit in the face of convention and paid the price of your own indignation. My head's been wet with the midnight dew. My shoes have worn down from running away. I swing for home runs every chance that I get. I know one day I'm going to hit the ball. I roll my boulders up and down suburban hills and search for honest men at twilight. I traded my teeth just to get off. Can you believe it? My tooth fairy is a tweaker with a heart of gold. I made best friends in fistfights and buried the myths I held sacred in unmarked graves in Indiana. I've been rich in fleeting moments and so poor I couldn't afford to pay mind to any of your concerns. I lost faith in myself and I found it right where I left it, under all of my baggage. I walked into the belly of the beast and I came out with the motherfucker's head in my hands. What I'm really trying to say is I don't regret a thing. Yeah. The weed hit all at once for a split second up there. So my name is Damian Rucci, and I'm a poet, so I make bad decisions, and I call it art. So I'm a traveling poet, and it's cool. I get to meet so many people like you lovely folks, but sometimes it gets a little weird. I was in Eastern Pennsylvania, and a professor from Kutztown said 2 disturbing things to me. First, she asked me if I was a white rapper. That didn't feel good. And then she said that if you swear in a poem, it makes it less of a poem. Well, fuck that, really. I mean, like, that's not how language works. We're poets. So I wanted to do a grand experiment. If I could say fuck in every single line of a poem, would it still be a poem? So let's find out. This is called What I Really Meant to Say Was Fuck You. And fuck every crooked star that guided me further away when I was just looking for home. And fuck every cobbled stone I stumbled over drunk. And fuck every dial tone that rang haunted when I tried to call for help. And fuck every poem that isn't about me. And fuck every girl who thought my heart was like an instrument. My love is like a brush fire. If left unattended, it could burn your fucking house down. Fuck the lies I webbed to preserve your morning. Fuck the parking lot, the highways, the junkies playing percussion with their galloping hearts, and fuck every whisper that sang of my sins. I sold the blue bird in my chest so we could eat. The damned and broken already toast to my triumphs. Fuck the drugs that kept me from heaven, and fuck all the drugs that got me there, and fuck every sinister orgasm at 3 a.m., and fuck all those people who said we've been living wrong. But they don't know how skeletal and angelic we looked in your rearview mirror. Fuck every night I stood on the shoulders of giants. And fuck every morning I'd find myself again in the earth. And fuck every hope I had to be among you. And fuck every person who slept warm while I shivered the whole night through. The only thing that has never abandoned me are my habits. And fuck them too. I want to be pure as snow. I want to walk with God through the ghettos and sink my teeth into the flesh of providence. Fuck every sunbeam that met my cursed flesh. And fuck every songbird at 6 a.m. that reminded me I wasted another night chasing ruin. Fuck every dead artist I praised as a martyr. And fuck turning 30. I'm too old to die young. Thank you. So in a past life, I was a union butcher on the Jersey Shore. You guys have heard of ecstasy, right? It was a drug thing a long time ago. But in New Jersey, we call them cookers. You gotta remember that. It's for the story. So when I was cutting grandmas like chuck roasts and London broils, we were on a lot of cookers. So by extension, this poem is called We're Cooking, and we're not even chefs. Enough of this, and you cure the longing. Enough of this, and you could find yourself building mountains out of piles of dust, building meaning from the endless despair. But with this, we are not broken. We are constellations of trauma and loss. We are cogs in a sinister corporate machine. We're doing just fine until the drugs are gone. But even swan songs have gentle melodies. So we laugh and hum and stumble over the words like it's not the only damn song we know. We live by the golden rules of the ones who came before us. What goes on in this room, it stays in this room. And you're not a junkie if you're wearing your work boots. And that the counter in the closet, man, you know it's not for eating. What's it for, Jay? Okay. And the blood on the floor, our reflections paint scarlet vignettes of better men who greet each morning clean and innocent, praying to their 12-step totems. But that life was never meant for men like us. We were born to drink our pain from the work nights, to climb out of the gutter where we were born, to make the whole damn neighborhood proud, to greet each morning with our heads above our hauntings. The real truth is something that can't be spoken. The sins of our fathers are scarred on our souls. We built ourselves up from the ruins of other men's dreams. You could clean up your act, but your eyes will carry the burden. And ours tell the stories don't come out at night when the party is over and our work boots are off and the liquor outweighs our reservations. At twilight is when the dogs come out of the men. And we could curse the heavens and tilt our hats to hell, and the silence that befalls us, it says it all. Thank you. So there's just like a new narrative that like young people have. My nephew's like 17. And people think that like the world just started sucking after the pandemic. I don't know what you guys are doing before the pandemic, but Jeremiah and I were in a cult in rural Missouri. And I'm not saying it was a good cult, because the point of a cult is to keep you inside. And we were kicked out of the cult. It was 2 hours south of St. Louis in the middle of nowhere, okay? There's only two things to do. You go fishing or do speed, right? I didn't have a dad. I never learned how to fish. So I kind of just stayed up a lot. These next two poems about that, this is called Missouri, I Hope I Never See You Again. Missouri, I hope I never see you again. I hope I never see your barefoot children. Let me start that again. Missouri, I hope I never see you again. Or at least that part of you dirty and anxious outside of the gas station. I hope I never see your barefoot children running through my dreams, pockets full of roses and crystal. I follow them down the country roads, through the creeks, the vacant barns and broken light bulbs, to my neighbor's kitchen table. Hope I never see the serpent of smoke that slithers from a tinfoil boat and finds its home in the chasm of where my soul once lived, but has gone on vacation,
has packed up his suitcases and tore off for Raleigh Airport. I may never see him again. I hope I never see your red-lit, sinister streets, the shadows panhandling outside of the supermarket, the damned rotting at the motel. From the rearview mirror, I watch my neighbor fight an invisible foe. By the time he calls for help, we are on an interstate highway, and the only way to look is ahead. So I'm gonna need some audience participation for this next one. Get some energy up in here. So a lot of poetry readings are like, how many people here are poets? All right, most of us. So I can talk a little bit of craft, right? Like inside trader talk. If I can pull this up, I'm gonna do this poem. There's a lot of poetry readings that are not fun. This one's really cool, but a lot of them aren't. And I was at this poetry reading, and this poet got on stage and was like, "Do you want to hear a poem about butterflies or redemption?" I'm like, who cares? You know what I mean? But I wanted to ask my own questions. So I want to ask a question. Do you guys want to hear a poem about dark magic, kinky sex, or violent drug abuse? It was a poet's trick. It's all three. This is called Little Miss Melancholy and the Left-Hand Path. To get to the muse, you have to get over the mood. And nothing's ever easy, baby. We're not pretty enough to catch the light of any morning star. The only breeze that whispers behind our ears are the sinister callings of the machinery of our own undoing. And death is the only thing that bonds us together. That every late night has a painful haunted dawn. That every line of dopamine hides a tear-wet cheek. That every adventure brings us back with no money, and every friend will wander away a stranger. And it's always just been that way, you know. We traded your mother's religion for mana and sin. Found a new pantheon of gods and heroes haunting Midwestern streets, hitching rides through damnation. They too will die young, and we will turn them into martyrs, invoke their names and build legends from their bones. Maybe there is magic swimming through these veins, and the sigils along the floor are made of Dutch guts and silver. And we'll find Gnosis at 3 a.m, naked and pretty as if we've never seen the sun, and the death of this night will never come. We're less than angels and more than beasts, and I've never seen the gods, but I've heard them sing to me at night. But the light's piercing through the veil now, and we both run out of things to say. If God was real, he'd pick her off of the floor by now. If God was real, we'd probably still be here right now, making these bones dance and riding lightning. When you're born to die, love alone is not enough to save you. So, I was seeing this woman, and I was really in love with her. And I could prove it, because I saw Casablanca with her like 20 times. And that movie's in black and white, dude. So in a lot of poetry shows, when there's a new poem, people say new shit, right? But if there's new shit, there's got to be old shit. We all know there's sad shit. We're poets, right? But this is petty shit. This poem's got 50 references to Casablanca. This is called Here's Looking at You, Kid. Of all the beer joints in all the towns in all the world, you walked into mine. Here's looking at you, kid. Here's the walled gardens left to rot. Here's the sigils on the napkins of dirty bars on the Jersey Shore. Here's the cemetery drive muffled from the wind of an eclipse at 90 mph. Here's to a setting sun on the backs of the wanderers waiting outside the hotel drunk. Here's to 2 bottle of Patron nights. Here's to backseat minutia. Here's to punk rock shows in sheds in the woods of Flemington, New Jersey. Here's to missing work, to misunderstandings, to half-truths, to stumble under sinister moons. Here's to you've never seen me sober before. Here's to everybody in Malden's got problems. You may be the one to sort yours out. Here's to I may be the only cause that I'm interested in. I never know which lines to cross or which to sniff. Here's to the boardwalk, the arcade, howling in the basements of New Brunswick. Church is in session and the priest just smashed his guitar. Here's to new beginnings and swan songs. Here's to I've heard your poems. I raise you a Bible of circumstance and clever words. Here's to friends and long nights. Here's to we may never have Paris, but we will have the basement. The Eiffel Tower is an obelisk within our pounding hearts. Here's the next time, kid. Hey, guys. I'm going to do like 2 more. Sound good, Jeff? 2? I got a couple chapbooks left. I did a split chap called Heralds of the Damned. I got 4 of them left. I'm selling for $5, and I'd like if you guys want them, because if not, I got to move in with Jeff, and he doesn't know that. This is very awkward. I'm lactose intolerant, but I'm not a coward, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things we have to cover. Hey, man, we're poets. I'm going to read a new poem. Is that cool? This is brand new. It's about my tour. I do things that are radical. Like, I met somebody on the internet, and I showed up at her trailer in Kansas, and we went on a month-long poetry tour. And I'm really good with parents, okay? Really good. Except, and I lived in the country. Listen, I'm a Jersey boy, but I was out in Missouri, you know. I got that yee-yee in me a little bit. But I've never been this rural before in my entire life. And her mother did not like me. The first thing she said was, "Are you ethnic?" And I'm like, "What?" "I'm Italian." And she looks at me and goes, "Right, ethnic." And then she goes, "What God you pray to, boy?" And I'm not trying to say no witch shit, you know? I'm in all the magic woo-woo. I said, "Catholic?" And she just looked at me and she goes, "That was the wrong thing to say." So I wrote a poem about my experience out there, and it's called There's an Elephant Preserve in Southeast Kansas. And an enclosure of albino buffalo. But we haven't stopped to see them once. Been too busy eating your Adderall scripts and haunting the Quick Trip gas station. Your mother hates me. But we have enough gas to get to Albuquerque if we leave, I promise. Now hop in the whip and let me tell you the legend of my friends. We're leaving the land of dust bowls and locusts. They eat the green off your dress. You know I can't stay long, or I'll turn to stone, or worse, lose book sales in St. Louis. Connor O'Malley, I too would trade every computer in the world to bring the mob back. But they took over my poetry show back home in New Jersey, and I haven't forgiven them since. I want to learn to hunt, to be closer to the kill, to not borrow any sin, to scar like spider glass, to carry every story like a crown of thorns. I'm sorry for the mess, but woe to the vanquished. I loved once, and I told the devil I'd never love again, no matter how tight they hold me, or the sigils they kiss into my neck, or how she loves me like a dog. I'm sorry. I move as the body needs me to move. And I hang my coyotes from every dogwood tree. And baby girl, I wail our eulogy to every haunted Missouri constellation, so no prairie wind will ever not echo our song. I'll etch it in stone if I have to, just to avoid any confusion that I still love you. It's been really awesome. All my friends, we do a lot of touring on the road, and everybody's writing all these like really like tour poems. I wanted to write my own douchebag Kerouacian tale, because I think every touring poet needs to do that. So this is last of the hardcore, and I want to thank you guys for being such a great audience. Baby, you know honesty is a gift, and I've run out of reasons to lie. I'm a boxcar and a jug of wine. I run away from my problems. I say it's all about the culture and art. Life is a party and I'm all burned out, drunk, throwing rocks at the bourgeois, singing my sermons of self-destruction, of all those past times with good company. Kittay, you got a better chance of meeting Jesus at a Waffle House than to catch me dropping the ball. And I'll show you how the devil buys souls. He left the crossroads. Now he's the only dude with a lighter at the end of the bar. And we tossed on the road out the window somewhere past Toledo, along the I-70 corridor, our guides, now toxic women who can mouth the hallelujah, who kiss our haunted mornings. She said, what if all along the problem was you? I know I couldn't keep my word when we were in Missouri, but it's all betrayal and the gospels of men, trailer park alchemy and the elixir of youth. But that was 9 whole cities ago, and she can find my answers between the lines of this poem. I've lived through my summers in squalor. I've sung yeats to supermarket angels, manifested half-smoked packs of cigarettes from the beach all the way up to Norwood Avenue. In the bathroom, I tell her, we could run away from this too. But she's grown roots. In the morning, I'll be all vagabond and ash, all bounding down the highway again, all bohemian and looking to score. Why are you even talking about tomorrow? What do you expect to bring home with you? You know, if it's not cutthroat, then it's not American. So we look to every show as if we're at war, and the liquor and the party are the bounty. You know when Moses smashed that golden calf? Everybody was losing their minds, except for the guys who had to clean it up. And who will clean up in the wake of our mess? There are no poems there, I promise. Jeremiah and I have already surfed the carpets. All we found is bits of soul and old cheese. My drug dealer went on vacation and took the good times with him. So we'll be grabbing a fistful of America anytime now. The bad grass never dies. Every crack in the pavement is room for more life to grow. Time to hog root or die. Time to carve our grooves into the American highways. Time to quit our jobs again. And in all this wandering, I've only learned 3 universal truths. Do you guys want to hear them? 1, there's no body positivity when you break a chair at a Cracker Barrel in South Carolina. Learned that the hard way. 2, one day, the world just collectively forgot about the band Creed. Side note, I wrote that line before the meme, and I read that in Kansas City in February, and this woman got on the open mic, and she was like, just so you know, my best friend is married to the bassist of the guy from Creed, and Creed's doing just fine. So just so you guys know. And 3, true love is when you let somebody else lick the bag. Thank you guys so much. It's been a real pleasure.
All right, real quick, business-wise, are we using that mic or this one's still good?
Whichever one you want.
All right, cool.
Could you keep that on my mic? Keep that on, please.
Okay. Cool. Everybody, let's give it up one more time for our amazing feature. Thank you so much for coming all the way up here. That was fantastic. Now's the moment y'all have actually been waiting for, where y'all get to be on the mic. If you haven't been here before, and I do see some new faces, and I see some familiar faces who signed up to read, we do this in rounds. Each round you get to read 1 poem. Try to keep it under 3 minutes, but we're not keeping too closely. We may have time for 2 rounds. We'll see. If it comes really close, I'm going to have to get you all to help me clean up so we get out of here on time. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. First up on the open mic, we have Ellen.
Yeah.
Come on up.
My poems are really short, so this one's called Your Ending. You sit with pen in hand, craftsman of your tale, a guide that led to these sad walls, a house that's damp and frail. You yearn to cast your cloak of guilt upon my waiting back, to drape it like a heavy shawl upon a wooden rack. Yet I have joined in with the stream, slipped through your fingers wide, vanished into the sun's bright beam in transformation's tide. There's no more me to burden, I'm a wisp of cloud up high, a dance within the yellow light, a whisper in the sky. Take hold, brave author of your fate. The threads are yours to weave. The ending only yours to write in the story you will leave.
Thank you, Ellen. Next up, we have new to the mic because he came in with our feature. Everybody ready? It's Jeremiah. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Well, let's go.
All right. 6 hours ago, Damian and I had no fucking idea how we were gonna get here. So it was really fucking exciting to come out, meet y'all, check this scene out. My name's Jeremiah. I run Bards on the Rocks, the northernmost outpost of the Renaissance that kicked off down in New Jersey. Yo, thank you, Jeff, for reaching out. I'm actually gonna be back here in June for a feature, so here's a little taste. Now, any of y'all been in a deeply toxic, codependent relationship? Just fucking rough. All of them. Everyone here, y'all poets, we're all on that same page. Now, this might have been wrong of me, but did anyone find it a little spicy?
Always.
Just the nature of that. This is called Hellbound and Hungry. Oh, I'm gonna go this one. That one's spooky. Boogity boo. There we go. My love is a parachute. Neither of us are going to stick the landing. But the view, the rush of wind in our hair, dice in our eyes, laughter in our hips. We are in free fall and all of Sonora tumbles saw light yellow, saguaro green, big open blue in all directions as we whip through clouds like great big gray brains. Thunderstorms remembering. Leather Jacket Miami Midnight, where we unlatched the back door of some suburban art collective and drank their IPAs and ate chorizo cubanos and fucked on granite kitchen counters and ran when the lights flashed sick white, revealing my pale ass, your brown breasts, and that flat-faced security guard yelling, "You can't keep this up forever." But we didn't need forever. We know the earth is rushing to meet us. We know the edible is kicking in right now. We know the patches on the parachute won't hold. We know Alabama flea market corn dripping butter down our chins and the bruised coast and yellow lines and tire marks and painted desert and the smell of a Denny's and 3 a.m. Reno and how afraid sky stars are of L.A. But when America's neon hieroglyphs fade in the rear view and we are wandering Oaxaca's jazz-cobbled streets, those sky stars leaned closer when you laid your head on my chest and said, "We can't keep doing this forever." But the view, the rush of wind in our hair, dice in our eyes, lion on our breath, the lives we leapt from cruise away at 20,000 feet. Their engines' roars mark our hearts with wildfire hunger and fire. It spreads through touch, and all we're holding on to is each other. And gravity, it ain't afraid. But we're going to go down swinging. And before we land, I just want to say, that relationship is done. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And of course, everyone here should definitely buy each other's chapbooks. It's really important. If you're at home, you should, I don't know, we'll get a website up with people's chapbooks. It'll happen. Next up, we have, you've heard him plenty tonight, and now you're going to hear him again. It's Ethan. Yeah.
All right, thank you. This piece is a corruption of William Shakespeare, made for modern times. And if you get the references, you're hip, baby. Now is the winter of our discontent, made glorious SummerSlam by this son of New York, and all the crowds that floored upon our house show, in the deep bosom of the ocean buried. Now, our brows bound with victorious wreaths our bruised arms hung up for monuments, our stern, curt angle changed to merry meetings, our dreadful matches to delightful measures, grim-visaged war hath smoothed his wrinkled front. And now, instead of mounting barbed wire, steel cages he capers nimbly in the lady's chamber to the lumberjacking teasing of a brute. But I, that am not shaped for sportive tricks, nor made to plant an enormous and amorous dark match, I, that am rudely stamped, and want dude love's majesty to strut before a wanton ambling nymph, I, that am curtailed of this fair proportion. Cheated of finisher by dissembling nature boy. Deformed, unfinished, sent before my time into this powdering world scarce half made up, and that so lamely and unfashionable that junkyard dog bark at me as I halt by them. Why, I, in this weak pinning time of peace, have no delight to pass away the time, unless to fly my shadow in the rung, and descant on mine own deformity, and therefore, since I cannot prove a partner, a tag team partner, to sports entertain these farewell spoken days, am I determined to prove a villain. Thank you.
Yeah, man. All right.
That's right, you all thought he was just here to play bass. Next up, we have new to the Contro-Verse. Came in from out of town. Everybody give it up for Al. It's first time.
Thank you. Thanks. It's a pleasure to be here for the first time. I'm Al Gundy, and I've been performing poems for a number of years, and it's spring. And so I'm going to do a poem about nature, because I love the spring. But this is a poem about a phenomenon in nature that they don't teach you about in school. We may call them naive, who perversely believe that a bat is a fright and detestable. But there's none more amazed that the bat has us crazed than that animal's insect comestible. For the six-leggeds think, should a man make a stink of a minuscule pest to be decked aside? When the bat is awake, it's the bug who should quake, 'cause awake, he's incarnate insecticide. When the bat is asleep and digesting his reap, he's suspended in utter paralysis as he hangs from his feet, having woken to eat, and it's this that deserves reanalysis. When the hexapod food is improperly chewed and possesses a tough exoskeleton, and the gastrical juice isn't fit to reduce that invertebrate vermin to gelatin, the ingestion instead will descend to the head to exist like a resident alien, and will master, if keen, the cerebral machine till it pilots the sleeping mammalian. This is terribly rare, that it's so self-aware, that it into the sensory center pries. But the insects will sing of the brave Captain Sting and his entomological enterprise. Captain Sting is a bee who could never quite see how a blossoming flower was beautiful. But commanding his crew he can happily do, and his venomous ways keep them dutiful. He'll impressively pose on the bridge of the nose when in charge of that varmint vehicular. He has fashioned his robes from extraneous lobes and the cartilage of the auricular. And the ant at the helm, who was raised in an elm and accustomed to reverb formationing, has a way to cajole an important control that can operate echolocationing. A mosquito named Pierce, so incredibly fierce his exhausted proboscis unusable, was a menace unfit to ensure we are bit, and of course by his kinsmen recusable. So he found a new home in that skeletal dome. His official position is tactical, and he uses his claw to maneuver the jaw when a battle is all that is practical. And a ladybug Spot is a fine arthronaut and a menacing chief of security. And the other bugs yearn her affection to earn, but they all of them lack the maturity. The exception is Sting. Well, they once had a thing which was more than routinely congressional. And he cares about Spot, and she loves him a lot, but they're keeping it strictly professional. When the bat is awake, its inhabitants break and repose in a cranial cavity, and are happy to tread in a predator's head, and exceedingly grateful for gravity. When the bat is asleep, when the avians peep, the adventurers waken with jollity to explore the unknown while defending their own and embodying peace and equality. Thank you.
I am so glad you made it out here tonight. Everybody give it for Al. Next up, we have regular friend of the show, wonderful human being, Donna. Get yourself up here.
All right. Sometimes I forget other people weren't raised Christian. You guys know Job, maybe? Yeah, the devil says, hey, humanity sure sucks. And God is like, I don't know about all that. Job's pretty chill. And the devil says, you want to make that interesting? And the rest of chapter 1 is a series of Job's servants showing up at his doorstep with news of ruin from every corner of his life. And later his friend will show up and try to make sense of it. But this poem is about when the fourth messenger arrives. The other three look as I must. The dust, the slump. The boss is on edge. Moments from now we'll be redundant. I say my piece. His kids, who had been fine. Their friends. My friends. Fragments of rubble. He stares past me. Something twists his face like a dust devil. I don't ask what he's done to bring this on us. It doesn't wait to be brought. The hand casting you down the next road with a new limp earth flattened underfoot.
It's okay, you don't have to fire off. It's fine. I missed the mute. All right. Next up, we have first time on the mic. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing the name right. Ilan? Yeah. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Ilan. I'm not actually a poet. I'm here with Donna, but I do like poetry, so I This is my first time reading something. I didn't. I didn't write it. This is by Vasco Popa, and
Show us the book.
Vasco Popa, who is a Serbian. So these are translations. This is a translation of his poem, "The Last News of the Little Box." The little box, with the whole world inside, fell in love with herself, and conceived inside herself another little box. The little box's little box fell in love with herself too, and conceived inside herself another little box, and so on ad infinitum. The little box's whole world should be somewhere inside the little box's last box. None of the little boxes in the little box in love with herself is the last one. Let's see you find the world now.
Thank you, Ilan, for coming up. So excited to have everybody here tonight. There were a couple late arrivals. If you wanted to read and you haven't read yet, raise your hand. Nobody? Great. All right. I'm gonna read something then.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I know that we already made fun of poets asking people what they should read, but I prepared 3 things and we've only got time for 1. What do you think? You guys want to do the one about quitting your job or about the moon being full of poison? All right. It's important for people to know what they want. This is called There Is a Moon. Somebody is going to come along and tell you that you have to question everything, because what you perceive and what I perceive are 2 different, potentially unrelated things, because your headache is not my headache. And all attempts at empathy are delusion, and there are no shared public objects, only consciousnesses bumping into each other, talking nonsense about things that we can't possibly understand or even agree on. They will make you question the existence of the moon. Fuck that guy! There is a moon. There is not a moon for each and every one of us, just one moon. It's not painted on the background. It's not an allegory. It hasn't been replaced with an identical duplicate when you weren't looking. And they didn't swap it out for a different model in the international release. There is a moon. It exists. And existing is a thing that objects are capable of, because the moon is there. It has properties that we can measure, and when you measure them, or I measure them, or Zingelbrap from the Markabian Empire measures them, those properties are constant, because the moon is a thing that exists. It has pockmarks from old collisions where it existed so hard, something else stopped existing. It is covered in dust that will give you motherfucking moon cancer, which is also a thing that is real and can kill you fucking dead. There is a moon, and it's made of real things, and you can point a laser at it in just the right spot, or send a piece of really real equipment into motherfucking space to take pictures of, and then send them back. And as long as you know how to send things into space, you and everyone else who looks will see the same pictures of the same places, because the moon is a thing that exists. Songs are sung about it. Tides happen because of it. Buzz Aldrin put his goddamn feet on it. There is a moon. Because the stories we tell about our memories of that particular piece of rock may vary, but they do not affect the thing that exists and doesn't give a shit what you say about it. There is a moon because there was a moon for every single person of every single tribe before we got together and shared a name for it, because it's a big goddamn rock in the sky and you can't exactly miss the fucking thing. Nobody infected us with the moon. It exists and it existed. It taught your ancestors about measuring time and sloshed around tide pools when life was small and weird. It shone on kingdoms and empires and flatworms, and it shone on them all the same. There is a moon because it doesn't change when you say the moon is orange. And just because you see it one color through the filter of the atmosphere and your eyes and your idea of what orange is doesn't change the fact that it's a thing made of atoms. And those atoms are arranged in mineral structures, and most of it is an orthosite, which is just another type of feldspar, which is so common it's actually just another name for fieldstone. You can tell stories about it all day long, and it won't change at all. Unless, of course, the story you're telling is, hey Roger, let's go dick butt the moon, in which case lasers get involved and the moon might actually get a dick butt etched on it. But then everybody would see it, because there's only one moon. And it matters that there is a moon, not because I am your oppressor and you are the oppressed, but because without a moon you can't affect anything. The realities in your mind are all well and good and entertaining, but the existence of things means that you have the capacity to act on those things. That you can interact with others and leave behind a world subtly changed by your presence. That when your meat sack fails and your consciousness with it, the stories you tell can survive. You are not pointless. You are not incapable. There is a moon. It is real. And so are you. Alright, everybody. As much as I would love to say, it's time for round 2, it is not. It's time for us all to wrap up. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. Thank you to all of our readers. Thank you to James for helping us out. Thank you to Felicia on the cameras. Thank you, of course, to our feature coming all the way up here. Buy his stuff. We don't want to movie you with Jeff, everybody. Come on. Thank you again to Uma. We do this every second and fourth Monday in Malden until such a time as they kick us out of the building or we don't want to do it anymore. Have a good night.